Croeso pawb and welcome to the PSN Big in Japan sale. This sale ends on the 7th of October, so you've got a few days left to take a look at the deals and get what you want. Let's look at the games. Okay guys, Akibas Trip Undead and Undressed is our first game. It was released in 2015, which makes it 5 years old. It's on an 87% discount right now for £3.89. That's really cheap and a huge discount. It's an action-adventure game set around Akihabara in Tokyo, Japan. And if you're an anime fan, you don't need me to explain that to you at all. The locals in this area have been taken over by creatures known as synthesters, and the only way to cure them is to expose them to sunlight. And you know what that means. Strip their clothes off and kill the creature. Yeah, you weren't thinking that, but that's what you gotta do. This game has some cool features in it. There are love interests for one. You don't usually see them in these sorts of games. It also has a branching story. In conversations through the story, it gives you 3 options, and the option you pick changes the outcome of the story. So there's a lot of replayability with this game as well. So if you know this is your thing, it's probably a good choice for you. Take a look at it, you might just like it. The second game is the sequel to the last game, Akibas Beat. It came out in 2017, which makes it 3 years old. It's got an 80% discount right now, making it £3.19, which again is really cheap. This time the gameplay is completely different. It's not an action-adventure game anymore, it's a JRPG. But again, it's set around Akihabara, Tokyo. In this game, your party gets stuck in a world of delusions repeating the same 24 hours, kinda like Groundhog Day, but with a mysterious man wearing a pink sash that's always around. So there's a bit of mystery to this game as well. So if you're a fan of the Akiba games, but you like the gameplay of the old ones, you might not want to play this one. But if you like JRPGs and the Akiba series, this is essential for you at this price. But if you're just a fan of JRPGs, check out this whole video because there's a lot of JRPGs in this sale and you might prefer another one over this one. But it's still a decent game at a good price, so keep it in mind. Up next is Blazblue Cross Tag Battle Special Edition. That's a huge name. It came out in 2019, which makes it 1 year old. It's on a 70% discount, making it £13.49. That's quite pricey for a discount. I know that's what you're thinking. But it includes £42.29 worth of DLC. Let that sink in. That's over £40 worth, and it includes 7 character packs. Compared to some of the other fighting games that rip you off per character, that's a ton of content. On top of that, Blazblue is one of the most popular fighters around. It's been around for ages, it's well thought of. I hear nothing but good things about the series, and this is a pretty recent version of it as well. All in all, it's an amazing deal for anyone that loves fighters. Especially if you don't have a Blazblue game. If you love fighters and you've never played Blazblue, or you don't own a recent version, do yourself a favour and look at this because it might just be the best thing you've bought in months. We'll go in old school for the next one. It's Castlevania Anniversary Collection. Released in 2019, so it's only a year old, but these games are really old, like before I was alive old, so you know, put that in perspective. It's on a 75% discount right now, making it £3.99. Which is really good, especially considering it includes 9 games. Yeah, you heard me, 9 games. But they're from the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy era. So, your mileage may vary from one game to the other. There's one Super Nintendo game, which is probably the best, but there are 3 Nintendo games, which are considered amazing and essential for any Castlevania fan. And then the Game Boy ones are good, but probably more for fans than casual players interested in Castlevania in general. If you've watched the recent Netflix series and you've never played the games, this is the perfect opportunity to get in and see where it came from. This is everything you need to play to understand where Castlevania came from and why it's so popular. And just so you know, the gameplay is Metroidvania, as in Metroid, Castlevania, put together Metroidvania. This is where it came from, so it's the granddaddy of that genre, along with Metroid. Bet some of you didn't know that, did you? Noobs. Anyway, it's an awesome deal, check it out, especially if you like Castlevania or you want to see where it all started. Or you're just a fan of old school games, you'll have a good time with these. Oh look, we're slightly less old school now. Castlevania Requiem, Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood. These games were released in 2018, which makes them 2 years old, but again, they're old games from like the 90s, so perspective, they're not that new really. But they're on a 75% discount, making them £3.99. Now you only get 2 games with this pack, but they're much more modern than the other ones. They were released on PlayStation 1 and PC Engine originally, and in general they're considered 2 of the best Castlevania games ever made. If you've never played Castlevania and you're not sure you'll like really old games, you might want to buy these 2 instead of the previous collection. because they're more modern and more developed, better graphics, better gameplay, more refined. And if you're a Castlevania fan, buy them both. You'll love them all, and probably played them already, or at least some of them. In truth, both packages are worth looking at, so pick the one you think is more suitable for you if you're interested. Otherwise, move on to the rest of the video. Let's go. For the third time in a row, we're going old school. Contra, the Anniversary Collection. Released in 2019, so it's only a year old, but again, these games are as old as I am, so perspective and all that. They're on a 75% discount though, for a price of £3.99, which is really good. Really, really good, considering there's 10 games included in this. The games are from the arcade, Nintendo and Super Nintendo systems, and some of them are European versions or Japanese versions of other games, so they're not all unique games, but it's definitely a complete collection of all the early games. For example, they included the Probotector games, which is what we got here, where they replaced the main characters with robots instead of humans so that it was less violent for us. Because, you know, what if Contra taught kids to be serial killers or something? If you're a Contra fan, this is essential. If you're not, but you like run and gun games, this is the granddaddy of that genre that really started it all off. Legendary games are a decent price for quite a lot of them, including all of their variations. So have a look, you might just love them, especially if you like old school games. Back to modern times now with Digimon World Next Order. Released in 2017, is 3 years old. It's on a 75% discount for a price of £9.99, which isn't that cheap, but it's a Digimon game, and I don't think that means the price will get much lower. The gameplay for this game is an RPG style game. It allows you to raise 2 Digimon at the same time, and even fuse 2 together to make more powerful monsters. So it's added some different unique systems over the anime. If you never watched Digimon as a kid, or you've got no interest in it, I'm not sure I could recommend this one that much to you, but it is a high production game, it's a beloved franchise, it's an RPG, so if any of those half reasons sound good to you, then take a look at it. Otherwise, I think this one's mainly for the Digimon fans, to be honest. Next up we have Earth Defense Force 4.1 The Shadow of New Despair. That's another huge name. Released in 2016, it makes it 4 years old, it's on an 80% discount for a price of £3.19, which is dirt cheap. Earth Defense Force is the game we all know and love. You turn up in your mechs and tanks, etc. to save the city. This version introduces 4 new classes: the Ranger, which is adaptable, the Wing Diver, which can fly, the Air Raider, which is a support class, and the Fencer, which is a heavily armoured juggernaut. It also includes nearly 100 missions, and has 2-player local co-op and 4-player online co-op. These games are always best played with friends, working together to save the city, just like the Avengers, but you know, more anime and epic. Come at me, Marvel fanboys, come at me. I guess I'll see you in the comments. Anyway, enough needlessly angering fanboys. If you like anime and mechs, and you've always wanted to be an anime-style superhero defending a city from giant monsters, you'll know whether this is for you, and if it is, you'll have a good time. Also, there's a lot of versions of this on sale, and this is by far the cheapest, so be careful which version you're picking up. And next we have an RPG. Fairy Fencer F Advent Dark Force. God, that's a mouthful. It was released in 2016, which makes it 4 years old. It's on an 80% discount, which makes it £4.99, which is a pretty decent price. This game has 3 stories. It has multiple endings. It's got a weapon customization system where you can fuse fairies into the weapons to make unique and varied weaponry for your characters. I love JRPGs, and this looks really good to me. The trailer looks very impressive, it looks high production, high budget, looks like it has a decent story, and the fact that there's 3 of them with multiple endings means it's a dream for anyone that likes replayability in their RPGs. It'll give you a load of reasons to go back and play it over and over again. If you love RPGs, you'll probably get a lot of gameplay out of this, and a lot of value for your money at this price. If you love anime and you love RPGs, consider this. It's well worth it. Okay, strap yourself in, the next game is Galgun Double Peace. Released in 2016, it's 4 years old. It's on an 85% discount right now for £2.39, which is so cheap. It's an on-rail shooter. The story for this game is that your main character gets shot by Cupid, and now all the girls are after him. And the only way you can stop them is to shoot them. This game is well known for the provocative noises the girls make when you shoot them, and the general lewdness of the theme. But let's be real here, this is a Japan sale, and there's a lot of anime stuff in here, so if you're watching this video, you're not easily offended and you enjoy games and story for their merit, not because of what people say or don't say about them. This is a decent game, it's niche, but it'll have its fan base. If you're in that fan base, pick it up at this price, it's dirt cheap, and you'll have a lot of fun if this appeals to you. Okay guys, I hope you're still strapped in because the next game is Galgun 2. There's another one, and we're looking at it now. Released in 2018, it's 2 years old. It's got an 80% discount for £6.99 price, which is pretty decent considering it's newer. Hey guys, this time it's different. This time the girls are possessed by demons. And get this, you help them out by shooting them and using gadgets on them. Totally different game. Not just the same game, but improved with a new story. Totally different, I swear. Okay, seriously, the first game is decent. This game is decent too. If you like the first one, you'll like the second one. They're both on decent sales. The first one's on a really good sale, the second one's on a decent sale for the age of it. So if you want the first one, you probably want the second one, and you'll pick up both and have twice as much fun. If this floats your boat, you're about to get a cruise liner, baby. Or even two. Another fighter is our next game, Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2. If I pronounced that wrong, shout at me in the comments because I'd love to know how it's really pronounced. Thanks. The game was released in 2017, which makes it 3 years old. It's on an 85% discount right now for a price of £5.24, which is really, really cheap. And because it's the Revision 2 version, it includes new characters, extra story modes, additional stages, and gameplay balancing, which is probably the most important thing I'd imagine. You know, for a fighter and all that. Again, Guilty Gear is one of the most popular fighting games around. So if you're a fan of fighters, you really should look at this series. And there's more than one game in this sales, so if you want a fighter and you don't fancy Blazblue or one of the other ones in this video, consider this one because you can't go far wrong. We're really picking from the best fighting series around, so whichever one you pick, you'll probably enjoy it a ton. And next we have another Guilty Gear game. This one is Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator. It was released in 2016, so it's 4 years old and older than the last game, but it's on an 85% discount for £2.39. I guess that price explains why I've included that in this list. £2.39, that's so cheap. And even though it's an older version, it's got 23 playable characters in it, which is a lot of characters for a fighter, especially compared to some of the more expensive ones which nickel and dime you for each additional character they release. This one's mainly included for somebody that's not a fan of fighters or hasn't played a fighter in a while and may want something as an option. This is so cheap that if you're not sure about fighters or you haven't played many recently, or you've never tried some of the fighter series that are available right now, for £2.39, this is your option. Take it, dip your toe in, you might just find that you love the genre now or that they've developed so much more since you last played them. I'm probably going to pick this one up myself, because I haven't played a fighter in a while, and at that price, it's a really low risk option to get back into fighters. I'm sure I'll have fun, and I hope you do too if you pick this up. Kotodama, The 7 Mysteries of Fujisawa is our next game, and a mouthful. That's happening a lot in this sale. This game was released in 2019, making it only a year old, and it's on a 90% discount for £1.99. Wow, that's cheap. It's a visual novel with 7 chapters, each containing a mystery for you to solve. The gameplay is a rip-off of mobile puzzle games like Candy Crush and that sort of thing, but those games are a lot of fun and popular for a reason. Basically, you interrogate the people by playing the puzzles, and the answers they give you help you solve the mysteries. If you tear out the story, it looks like a Honey Pop rip-off, which isn't a bad thing because I own Honey Pop, and it was a really fun game. So if it's anything like Honey Pop, I'd probably be tempted myself, especially for this price. So if you like puzzles, or mysteries, or both, or you like them mixed together in a visual novel, this is tailor-made for you, it really is. Search your feelings, and if the Force tells you this is for you, then pick it up. Otherwise blame Yoda because he's responsible for everything these days. Oh look, it's another fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Deluxe Edition. This game was released in 2017, so it's 3 years old. It's on a 70% discount for £14.99. Which is at the high end of the sort of price I like to include in these lists. But it does include £24.99 worth of DLC, which is how it made the list. The DLC includes 6 characters, which are Sigma, Black Panther, Monster Hunter, Winter Soldier, Black Widow and Venom, and they all get a premium costume thrown in as well. So that's a pretty decent amount of DLC included for the price. And this is one of the oldest and most premium fighters that have been around for decades. It may not be as anime as the rest of the fighting series we've looked at, but it's got good heritage just like they have. This game is more expensive than the others though, so if you're not a big fan of Marvel or Capcom, and you don't really care who the characters in your fighting game are, then you're probably better off looking at the other games, especially the cheaper ones, because you'll have just as much fun with them as you will with this. But if you love Marvel or Capcom, or both, and fighters, and for some reason you haven't picked this up yet, then this is a good option for you to pick it up. It's old school time again, with Metal Slug Anthology. It was released in 2016, so it's 4 years old, but again these games are way older, so keep that in mind. But it's on a 60% discount for £5.39, which is a decent price, especially considering it includes 7 games, which are Metal Slug 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and X. These games are legendary run-and-gun shooters like Contra, but they were mainly arcade games, so the graphics and animations are way superior than Contra, especially compared to the earlier Nintendo Contras. If you like run-and-gun shooters, you'll probably love these, and you get so many of them for this price that it's less than £1 a game, so you're really never going to have a much better price than that. If you love run-and-gun games and old-school games, pick them up. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy is our next game. I know it's another fighter, but bear with me, there's a reason for all of these being on the list. This game was released in 2017, so it's 3 years old. It's on a 70% discount right now for £14.39, which again is at the high end of the prices I like to have on this list. But it's a compilation of 4 games. Yeah, that's right, 4 games. And they're all pretty modern, and they're all good. If you're a fan of Naruto, this is an essential package for you. Be careful though, because a lot of these games are on sale individually, so you don't want to pick them up because the price difference between one of them and 4 of them is very little. So make sure you get the 4, because you might as well get the other 3 games thrown in for nearly the same price. The 4th game included in this package is also the full version, which includes all the DLC, and the DLC included is worth £27.98. Now that same DLC is on sale right now for £17.99, but that means that the DLC for the 4th game in the whole package on sale is more expensive than buying the 4th game with the DLC and the 3 before it. Let that sink in. This is a ridiculous deal. So if you're a Naruto fan, buy this. It's a no-brainer. If you're not, consider it, because there's a lot of games with a lot of DLC for a decent price. Fans of fighting games really have a tough choice this sale. They really do. Just don't buy them all and bankrupt yourself, okay? I don't want any of you homeless because of me. Okay, the next game is an interesting one. Omega Quintet. It was released in 2015, so it's 5 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for £2.49. Ooh, that's cheap. Really, really cheap. Now this game is interesting because it's a hybrid JRPG and idol simulation. Yep, that's right, it's a JRPG where your characters are an idol pop group with simulation elements revolving around that. So every boss fight is themed as a performance by your idols, which means that you are on stage and you get to perform dance routines and choreography and all sorts of fun stuff. You get to customize your idols, their costumes, their look, the choreography of their dance routines, all sorts of fun stuff. They really went all in on the customization idol simulation part of this game. I gotta be fair, this doesn't sound like the sort of game I would play, but I love JRPGs, and the fact that they've combined it in such an interesting way with idol simulation, I just know that if you're in any way interested in this, then this is going to be amazing for you. It just looks like so much fun if you're into idol simulators at all, or you just like the unique theming of a JRPG, because this is very unique and very interesting to me. Consider this, because it may just be the most unique game you've ever played if you end up picking it up. And it's a really good price. It's so cheap. It's worth taking a risk on at that price. It really is, if you've got any sort of interest in it at all. Up next we have One Piece Burning Blood Gold Edition. Released in 2016, it's 4 years old. It's on a 75% discount for £9.74, which is pretty decent. This game's another fighter, and it includes a lot of DLC, including 4 new fighters, alternative character versions, and costumes. Unlike a lot of the other fighters in this list, it doesn't have a huge heritage, or a great reputation purely as a fighter. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'd say that if you're not a One Piece fan, there's probably other options for you in this video. But if you are a fan of One Piece and you want a fighter based around it, this is basically your best option. And it's on a good sale with some decent DLC included. And if you're not a fan of One Piece, then the Naruto bundle has way more value for the price. And some of the other games are just better heritage in general for fighters. So if you really want to focus on fighters rather than the themes or the brands stamped on them, then you'd probably be better off picking up one of the other franchises instead. One Piece Unlimited World Red Deluxe Edition is our next game. It was released in 2017, which makes it 3 years old. It's on a 75% discount right now for a price of £8.24. Now the reason I've included another One Piece game is this is a completely different genre than the other one. This one's an action-adventure brawler, so the gameplay's way different. This game contains an original story and characters created by Eiichiro Oda, which I'm assuming is the guy that made One Piece, otherwise why would they brag about it? Yeah, that's right. I'm not a One Piece fan. Moan about that too in the comments. You and the Marvel boys will have a great time. Anyway, this game includes over 50 DLCs, which is astronomical, especially considering the prices on sale for. So if you're a One Piece fan, or you like brawlers and you don't really care what the branding is on it, this is probably something you should be considering, because there's a lot of game for that price, and well worth looking at. Oni Shanbra Z2 Chaos is our next game. It was released in 2015, which makes it 5 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for £4.99, which is a pretty decent price. It's a third-person hack-and-slash game, where you're fighting creatures like zombies, werewolves, ghouls, and demons. In each level, you get to play as 2 characters, which you can switch between on the fly, and they both have different skill sets and abilities, so it gives you a lot of option for gameplay and tactics. It also includes an RPG leveling up system, so the more levels you play, the better you do, the more abilities and stuff you can unlock for the characters. This game's been compared to the Devil May Cry series, which, for a hack-and-slash game, that's like the highest praise you could probably get in modern games. So I gotta say, if you like hack-and-slash games or you just want a button-mashing fun game, check it out. It's in this list for a reason. Next up, we have one of the most popular JRPGs to be released in modern times, Persona 5. It was released in 2017, so it's 3 years ago. It's on an 80% discount for a price of £9.99, which isn't overly cheap, especially considering there's no DLC included. But as we've seen in previous videos, the DLC editions of this include some pretty poor DLC that aren't really worth paying extra for anyway, so this is probably your best option in general. In this game, you spend your days in high school life, going to school, seeing friends, crying in the toilets at lunchtime, the usual stuff. But after school, you and your friends infiltrate palaces within the hearts of corrupted adults. Ooh, that sounded interesting all of a sudden. That's because it is. The friends and bonds you make in the high school sections carry over to the nighttime sections, so there's a nice interplay between the 2 parts of the game. This is hands down the most recommended JRPG I'm aware of in forever. So if you're interested in JRPGs, and for some reason you didn't pick this up earlier, this is a decent price to pick it up at now. And if you like JRPGs but you haven't played them in a while, and you wondered what the Persona series is about, this is a good option for you to get in and see what it's all about. Especially considering the older games are on PS Vita and PSP, which are great consoles, but most people don't have them. Don't miss out on a chance to see what this legendary series is all about. Our next game is Punchline. It was released in 2018, which makes it 2 years old. It's on a 75% discount right now for a price of £8.74, which is not bad. It's a visual novel game where you play as a ghost trying to return to their body. And you do this by haunting a house full of girls, solving puzzles, learning new abilities, and ultimately trying to save the world. Yep, that's right, the stakes are big in this game. This game looks awesome, it's got high production values and looks really good quality. So if you enjoy visual novels and puzzle solving, this is probably a game that you will enjoy a lot. Root Letter Last Answer is our next game. It was made in 2019, so it's a year old. It's got a 77% discount right now for a price of £5.74, which is pretty decent. It's another visual novel game, but this one revolves around your old pen friend who mysteriously vanished 15 years ago. So now you're out to investigate and find out what really happened to your old friend. This edition of the game is a revamped version of the original, and it includes additional content, including some live action sequences that weren't in the original. So it's really the better, more complete edition of the game. This is another one that looks like it's got high production values and looks like a quality game. So if you like playing visual novels, you've got some to pick from in this sale, but they all look like really good choices, they really do. Everyone's spoiled for choice in this sale. Up next is Senran Kagura Burst Renewal and Shinobi Rivals Edition. That's a big name. Released in 2019, so it's only a year old. It's on a 70% discount right now for a price of £13.49, which isn't bad considering it includes a lot of DLC. The DLC included in this game is the soundtrack, additional character Yumi and her story mission, additional outfits and diorama pose sets. This game is probably known for how hot the girls in it are, but all of the Senran Kagura games are actually really good games, irrelevant of what the media say about their aesthetic choices. In this particular game, it's a brawler and you get to play one of 5 buxom ninjas through the story missions. And to be honest, these days you don't get a lot of brawlers, so it's really good to see more of them around. If you've been looking for a brawler, then this is a good option for you. This is a high production, good quality game. So if that sounds like you, then pick it up. And for anyone else, take a look. You might just have fun if you play this game, you never know. Strider's up next. It was released in 2014, which makes it 6 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for a price of £2.39, which is really cheap, and in all honesty it should be at that age. This game's a Metroidvania platformer, where you play a ninja assassin, and it has the usual gameplay mechanics, lots of platforming, lots of areas you can't get to until you unlock different abilities, and then you come back later and progress further. This game was given away free a long time ago on PSN, so I got it for free and played it and completed it, and I gotta be fair, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I wouldn't necessarily have bought it, but after being given it for free and playing it, it was really good. It was really, really good. I would definitely have considered buying it if I knew what it was like before that. If any of you like Metroidvania games, then you definitely should pick this up. It's so cheap and it's such a good game for that price. And it's an old school franchise from way back when I was a kid as well. So it's got some gaming heritage going for it as well. Worth looking at. Here we go again. Sword Art Online HollowRealization Deluxe Edition is our next game. Man, what is it with these long names? It was released in 2016, so it's 4 years old. It's on an 85% discount for a price of £8.99, which is really good, especially considering it's a deluxe edition. It's an action RPG based on the light novels. Originally, it was an MMORPG series, so the gameplay resembles its origins and emulates that even though it's not an online MMO. But it does have co-op where you can play with up to 3 other players. Included in the DLC with this is the soundtrack, the season pass, and a load of bonuses, which is a ton of content for this low price, it really is. If you enjoy action RPGs, or you read the light novels for Sword Art Online, or you're just a fan of Sword Art Online in general, this is something to really look at. It's a great game at a great price. If you're not a fan of Sword Art Online, but you like action RPG games, take a look at it. It looks really good, and at that price you're going to get a lot of game for your money, which means a lot of fun. Check it out. Okay, the next game is Sword Art Online Re-Hollow Fragments. This was released in 2015, which makes it 5 years old, but they were originally released way before that, so they're older in fact. It's on a 75% discount for £3.99, which is dirt cheap. This game is the second in the Sword Art Online series, and what's a really good bonus is that it includes the first game as well. That combined with this low price means this is my star buy. This game isn't just the second game re-released either, it was remastered specifically for PlayStation 4, so they really gave it a good spit and polish. Plus the fact that it includes the first game is just awesome to me. Basically, if you like JRPGs or Sword Art Online, getting the first 2 games remastered for £3.99 is an absolute steal, it really is. If you're in any way interested in JRPGs or RPGs, at this price you're getting 2. Come on, it's like the best deal you're going to get this century, it really is. They look awesome and I'm probably going to pick them up myself. Next we have another fighter, Under Night In-Birth EXE Late ST. What is with these names? Seriously. Released in 2018, is 2 years old. It's on a 70% discount, making it £5.99, which is a pretty good price. Now here's the thing with this game. It claims to have combined the best parts of Street Fighter and Blazblue together to make the best fighting game ever. Blazblue and Street Fighter are 2 of the biggest fighting series ever. And the fact that they're claiming they've combined the 2 into an awesome game is a pretty bold statement. But it's got to have some truth to it because this game is reviewed really well and seems to have lived up to at least some of their big claims. This is an interesting one. It's got bold claims, it's well reviewed, it's at a decent price. If you've played Blazblue and Street Fighter, but you haven't played this may pique your interest and it might be a very interesting purchase for you. For other fighter fans, you've got a lot to pick from in this sale. This is just another good option amongst the others. It's really up to you which one you're going to pick because there's so many and they offer so many different things that I really can't pick one above the rest. This pick's going to be on you, but whatever happens I'm sure you'll love the game you end up with. Utaweru Mono Deception and Truth Bundle is the next game. What is that, a tongue twister? These titles are really trying to trip me up, they really are, they've got it out for me. Anyway, this game was released in 2018, so it's 2 years old. It's on an 80% discount right now for a price of £8.99, which isn't that bad, especially considering it's a bundle of 2 games. These games are both visual novel games, combined with grid-based strategy and tactical gameplay. They kinda look like a rip-off of the Fire Emblem series as far as their gameplay goes, which isn't a bad thing because I've played all the Fire Emblem games and they're amazing, I love them. And it's good to see a game along those lines available outside of a Nintendo console. And the fact that you get 2 of these for this price is a really enticing option. If you like grid-based strategy games, like Fire Emblem, then you can't really go that far wrong with these games. They're really worth considering for strategy fans, especially if you like visual novels, or a huge amount of story in general. Then you're bound to have a whole lot of fun with these games. Up next we have Valkyrie Chronicles Remastered. It was released in 2016, which makes it 4 years old, but it's a remaster of an older game, so keep that in mind, it's like way older than that. It's on a 65% discount for £5.59, which is a pretty decent price. This game is a turn-based tactical RPG, similar to the recent XCOM games in gameplay. And there's not a lot of options for that genre, so if you like that genre, this is more or less essential for you, I'd say. Especially at this price. It's set in sort of Industrial Revolution time period, which is pretty interesting. And it's got a unique graphics engine where it's supposed to look like a painted canvas, which is pretty different and unique. It's definitely a different looking game to others. All in all, this was considered a really good game back when it originally came out. By now you'll already know whether this game is for you, and if it is, buy it because you'll have a great time, and if it's not, then maybe look at it, especially if you haven't played this genre before, you might just like it. And if not, check out some of the other deals in this list because there's a lot of good options in it. This is a huge sale. And the final game in this sale is Zankye Zero Last Beginning. It was released in 2019, so it's only a year old. It's on an 80% discount right now for a price of £9.99, which is alright. This game is a dungeon exploring RPG. It's set in a post-apocalyptic scenario where humanity has wiped itself out, and the only thing that remains is 8 clones. Each of these clones are named after a deadly sin, with one of them being the original sin because, there's only 7 deadly sins. The caveat with these clones is that they only live 13 days before dying. But when they die, they get reborn again. And each time they're reborn, you get to rebuild their characters completely. This gives you a lot of opportunity to try different builds and tactics, and then rebuild them as you see fit, and experiment a lot more than other games. You don't see that many dungeon exploring RPGs, and this seems to have a pretty interesting story to go along with it. So if you love that genre, you'll probably like this game. And if you don't, it may be something to look at. Although there's a lot of RPGs in this sale, so, the world's your oyster with this sale as far as RPGs and fighters go. I really don't envy the choices you guys have to make if you love all of these games. And that's all the games I have for you for the Big in Japan PSN sale. Did you like the games I picked? Do you think I missed some games? Do you think I picked a bad game as my star buy? Throw down all your complaints in the comments and we'll argue about it later. But for now, I hope you guys found some games you're interested in and that you have a lot of fun buying them. But more importantly, I hope you saved a lot of money. See you guys in the next video.